Zeno. In the Dragon Ball multiverse, strength is usually judged by fighting skill, speed, and destructive power. But Grand Zeno completely breaks that system. Unlike most powerful characters in Dragon Ball, Zeno has no martial arts ability, combat experience, or fighting instincts. During the Tournament of Power, his reaction speed was so low that he couldn't even follow the fighter's movements without using a special god-level tablet. Even so, Zeno is still the most powerful being in Dragon Ball history. His power doesn't come from ki blasts or physical strength. Instead, he has complete authority over reality itself. While the gods of destruction use Hakai to destroy people or planets, Zeno uses a far more powerful ability known as Erase. With almost no effort, he can wipe entire universes from existence. When Zeno erases something, it's not just destroyed. It completely stops existing across all timelines and realities, including mortals, gods, and even souls in the afterlife. Immortality means nothing to him. When Zamasu fused with the universe and became part of the timeline itself, Zeno casually erased the entire timeline to end the threat. Zeno has already shown how terrifying his power is. Originally, the Dragon Ball multiverse had 18 universes, but he erased 6 of them simply because he felt like it. During the Tournament of Power, he erased 7 more universes one after another with a simple gesture. What makes Zeno truly terrifying isn't just his power, but his personality. He thinks and behaves like a small child, treating the destruction of trillions of lives like entertainment. He doesn't destroy things out of hatred or evil, but out of boredom or annoyance. To him, universes can be discarded as easily as broken toys. And because Zeno stands above every other being in existence, there is no higher authority, no punishment, and no one capable of stopping him. Shinra Bonshoman. Shinra from Fire Force achieved this form near the end of the series through soul resonance, combining his soul with those of his mother and brother. By doing this, Shinra becomes the embodiment of hope itself, directly opposing the evangelist, who represents humanity's despair and fear. Even before fully mastering this form, Shinra was already capable of unbelievable feats, like casually kicking the moon away from Earth to stop it from crashing into the planet. But as Shinra Bonshoman, his abilities go far beyond raw strength and become completely conceptual. After the Great Cataclysm destroyed Earth and turned it into a burning wasteland with no atmosphere, Shinra literally held the planet in his hands and rewrote reality itself. He didn't just restore the world, he changed the laws of existence, creating a new reality where spontaneous human combustion could no longer happen. This new world eventually became the setting of Soul Eater, and Shinra even created Death the Shinigami to govern the concepts of that universe. What makes Shinra Bonshoman truly broken is that his imagination can directly become reality. If he thinks something, it can happen. He recreated oceans, land, plant life, and even the atmosphere from nothing. In his weaker forms, Shinra could already move at light speed, which allowed him to break down into subatomic particles and manipulate time itself. As Bonshoman, his speed goes beyond normal measurements, letting him operate outside standard linear time while fighting the evangelist. Shinra also gains complete authority over souls. He revived the entire population of Earth, including people who had died centuries earlier during the first cataclysm, restoring their souls to physical bodies and effectively making humanity immortal in his new world. If Shinra Bonshoman existed as a villain, he would easily be considered a universal level threat. Since he defeated the evangelist, the physical embodiment of humanity's collective unconscious, normal power scaling doesn't fully apply to him. Physical attacks alone would be useless because Shinra can rewrite reality, reverse time, or even alter the concept of his opponent's existence itself. Anti-Spiral. The Anti-Spiral isn't a normal villain. He is a godlike, multi-dimensional entity that represents a macroverse-level threat in Gurren Lagann. He is the collective consciousness of an entire alien species that abandoned evolution to prevent the universe from being destroyed by spiral energy. Because of this, the Anti-Spiral exists on a far higher dimensional level than normal beings. His true form resides in a pocket universe that shifts between the 10th and 11th dimensions, meaning his existence is far beyond standard space-time perception. Within that pocket reality, the Anti-Spiral effectively becomes the universe. He can freely control physics, matter, and geometry, and because he exists outside normal time, he can act across different points in history at once. His power reaches extreme multiversal levels. In the final conflict against Team Daiguren, he manifests massive constructs like the Grand Zamboa, whose scale defies comprehension. He treats galaxies as physical objects, casually pulling them from space and using them as weapons. He can also combine entire galaxies and compress them into a single point, releasing energy on a scale that mimics the Big Bang itself, producing attacks that strike at a quantum level and erase targets down to their most fundamental components. Inside his domain, the anti-spiral can manipulate probability and quantum mechanics to ensure his attacks always land. This makes traditional durability, speed, or defense largely irrelevant against him. If raw power fails, he uses psychological and conceptual traps. He can trap intelligent beings in infinite branching realities, forcing them to experience endless what-if timelines based on every possible choice. This effectively breaks their will and traps their consciousness in an infinite loop of possibilities. He is also capable of rewriting or deleting information from reality. When punishing enemies or suppressing resistance, he can erase their existence by dismantling their informational structure. Perhaps most importantly, the anti-spiral doesn't fight recklessly. Despite having near-omniscient intelligence and effectively unlimited stamina, he often chooses to fight opponents in ways that match their own scale, turning battles into controlled tests of survival rather than immediate annihilation. God. God is presented in One Punch Man as the ultimate overarching antagonist, operating on a cosmic scale far beyond most known threats in the series. While heroes like Saitama treat city-level or even continent-level disasters as trivial, God is framed as a higher-dimensional entity whose influence extends across space, time, and reality. His primary ability is granting power to others. When individuals accept his influence, their physical, biological, and even metaphysical limits are rewritten, pushing them into vastly stronger states. However, this power is not free. It functions like a loan that God can revoke at any moment, often killing the recipient instantly. For example, the homeless emperor was transformed from an ordinary human into a dragon-level threat, capable of producing overwhelming energy constructs after receiving a fragment of God's power. A more extreme case is Garo in his cosmic fear state. After contact with God, Garo gained awareness of the flow of all universal energy. This allowed him to copy Saitama's abilities, manipulate fundamental forces like gravity, open dimensional portals, and emit extreme radiation simply by existing. If someone rejects or defies God, he can instantly retract the granted power, leaving the individual reduced to a lifeless, desiccated state. God himself does not appear to be bound by normal three-dimensional physics. He is implied to exist in a higher dimensional or alternate plane, with his influence reaching the physical world through avatars, visions, or partial manifestations. The mysterious cubes scattered across Earth function as both seals and communication conduits, suggesting that even containing him requires extraordinary, multiversal level effort. His presence can distort space and consciousness. He can appear within a person's mind by taking forms they trust, manipulating perception to encourage acceptance of his power. Visually, he is sometimes depicted as an immense, cosmic-scale entity, far larger than planets, resembling a living celestial phenomenon rather than a conventional being. Even a fraction of his energy was enough to destabilize reality through Garo, implying that his full, unsealed form could potentially pose a universe-level or higher threat. Pucci. Enrico Pucci, the main antagonist of JoJo's Bizarre Adventures Stone Ocean, is an extremely high-level existential threat whose power grows from dangerous utility to full universal-scale reality manipulation. What makes Pucci stand out isn't just physical power, but his intelligence, strategy, and unwavering devotion to Dio Brando's Heaven plan. His stand evolves multiple times, each stage dramatically increasing his control over reality. His base stand, Whitesnake, is primarily focused on deception and soul manipulation. It can extract a person's memory and stand abilities as physical discs, effectively disabling or repurposing opponents. It also produces a mist that disrupts perception, creating a disorienting, dreamlike environment that Pucci uses for ambushes and control. After merging with the Green Baby, Whitesnake evolves into Sea Moon. At this stage, Pucci becomes a far more direct and overwhelming threat. Sea Moon generates a localized reversal of gravity within a wide radius, repelling repelling everything away from Pucci and making movement against him extremely difficult. Pucci himself is unaffected, allowing him to maneuver freely while his opponents are constantly forced back or destabilized. Seamoon's offensive capability is especially lethal. Any direct hit inverts the affected area of a target's body, essentially turning internal organs inside out and causing instant death. The final evolution, Made in Heaven, transforms Pucci into a universal scale threat. This stand accelerates time across the entire universe to extreme levels. While the world around him rapidly decays, evolves, and collapses under time acceleration, Pucci alone is able to move normally, effectively making him appear invisible and untouchable to others. At its peak, Made in Heaven pushes the universe to its end, causing a reset into a new reality. Pucci uses this process to reshape existence, creating a world governed by inevitability and fate, where people subconsciously understand their predetermined outcomes. In a short span of time, Pucci defeats most of the main cast of Stone Ocean and nearly succeeds in fully rewriting reality according to his vision, making him one of the most dangerous and conceptually powerful antagonists in the series. Yhwach. Yhwach is the final antagonist of Bleach. Even without using his special abilities, Yhwach's raw power is already on a completely different level from almost everyone else in the series. His spiritual pressure is so massive that it can affect entire realms. After absorbing the Soul King, his energy alone began destabilizing reality itself, causing the Soul Society, the human world, and Hueco Mundo to collapse into each other. One of his most dangerous abilities is his power to distribute pieces of his soul to others, granting them strength. When those people die, their power returns to Yhwach and makes him even stronger. Through Ausvalen, he can also steal the life force and abilities of any Quincy whenever he wants in order to heal himself or increase his power. But what truly makes Yhwach terrifying is his ability called the Almighty, represented by the letter A. When activated, his eyes split into multiple pupils, allowing him to see and manipulate the future. The Almighty gives Yhwach near absolute precognition. He doesn't just see one future, he sees every possible future at the same time. To him, the future is like countless timelines playing simultaneously. Because of this, he already knows every move his opponents will make before they even think about making it. More importantly, Yhwach can directly alter those futures. If he dies in one timeline, he can simply choose another future where he survived and overwrite reality with that outcome. He can also manipulate events before they happen, such as breaking an opponent's weapon in the future so it instantly shatters in the present, or setting attacks that activate before the enemy even moves. Near the end of the 1000-Year Blood War arc, Yhwach absorbs both the Soul King and Mimihagi, pushing him into a near godlike state. With almost no effort, he reshaped the Soul King Palace into the massive fortress known as Warvelt. By possessing the Soul King's power, Yhwach gained control over the balance between life and death. His ultimate goal was to erase the concept of death entirely by merging the human world, Soul Society, and Hueco Mundo into one immortal reality where fear no longer existed. To achieve this, he was willing to sacrifice billions of souls across multiple dimensions.